all doing well on this first day of August 2024. Happy new month to you all. Um, what a privilege to be alive. Thank you all for joining. I see you guys tuning in already. Give a few minutes for more to join. Okay, so we're live on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Okay, if you know someone who's going to benefit from today's Q&A session, please go ahead and share this link with them right away so they don't miss out on anything. Um, Sharing is caring. Don't be selfish with the good stuff. But as I always say, only the people you like, love, and respect, because we want good vibes only, as always. So, in case I am a strange or new face to you, my name is Solomon Wangwe, the founder and CEO of Goshen Acquisitions Limited, as well as its wholly owned subsidiary, Grand Acres Limited, the most transparent number one land selling company in Kenya, just in case you didn't know. We've been doing this for 12 and a half years now, so we know a thing or two about how to go about it. Lots of lessons learned, some mistakes made, amazing wins along the way. And so the point for tonight is to share our learnings, since this is what we do on a daily basis. If you have a question, a comment, a query, a curiosity, compliment, all the C's you can think of, uh, the next hour is when we get a chance to do that and share good knowledge, good lessons, good learnings with one another. So without much further ado, please let's go ahead. Save time. It's 3 minutes past 8. We'll keep going until 9 sharp. Um, I'm here to answer your questions and taking your comments. Okay, I see we have one question already. Ignatius underscore Clinton on Instagram. What's up, Ignatius? Thank you for tuning in. Ignatius says tips on buying ancestral land for those who don't have it yet. For those who don't have land, well, first of all, I would need to understand a bit more before I can give any meaningful tips on how to buy ancestral land. For starters, when you say ancestral in parentheses, is it titled land or not titled? Is it trust land? Is it communal land? What are we talking about? Because each one of those will have a very specific set of procedures you have to follow. So if you can clarify that, Ignatius Clinton, I'll really appreciate that. Ahadi Group, what's up, Ahadi Group? Good to see you guys on Instagram. Ahadi Group says, what does it mean when someone says ground acreage is slightly less than title acreage? In such a case of acreage, what steps should I take to correct it? That's a great question, Ahadi Group. So, in general, you'll find that this is the case with freehold agricultural properties predominantly, because these are surveyed under what is technically termed as general boundaries regime. Okay, there's two. There's general boundaries and there's fixed survey. Fixed survey you'll find in very urban, highly developed areas like Nairobi town CBD, because those are pegged to a very specific pin that has a very specific and non-duplicatable GPS coordinate, right? Whereas agricultural freehold lands tend to be surveyed under general boundaries, is what they call it. So when you have properties under general boundaries, there's an allowable margin of error in terms of exactly where the boundary ought to be, as stated on a title document or a mutation form, versus the reality on the ground. It's very common and shouldn't alarm you, unless, of course, the margin of variance is extremely high. That is determined by county and government surveyors. If the discrepancy is material enough, they will require a change of the mutation forms, a visit to the site, establishment of the mutually agreed boundary between all the affected parties, and that sort of thing. Okay? So it's in that context that you will probably find ground acreage is slightly less than the title deed says because of the allowable margin of error that exists and is customary for general boundaries, general boundary titles or properties. So the best thing to do if you're really concerned about the discrepancy in size on title versus what's on the ground, get yourself a licensed surveyor, have them review that for you, and they'll be able to guide you on the best way forward. Of course, always a good thing to have a licensed advocate to walk along with you just to make sure everything's on the up and up. That's an awesome question, Ahadi Group. Thank you for sharing it. I'm sure we have more than one question. No? Okay, I'll wait. Give me time to drink my coffee. I guess everyone's still tuning in. Um, Frida KE, I see you. Thank you for making time. Iskaranja, enjoy.rotich. I see you. Thank you. Njoro.p. This is Instagram, I guess. Everyone on Instagram. Another question came in? No? Just a comment. I see a comment from Abduba on TikTok, right?
Yes.
Abduba says, I have 50 acres of land in Rumuruti, Laikipia. I would want to sell it. Okay. Not exactly a question, but thank you for sharing, Abduba. All success to you selling that 50 acres in Rumuruti. That's a beautiful area, by the way. Very rugged, very untouched, unspoiled. I guess things are changing now because it's now Laikipia County's new headquarters, so there's a lot of activity happening in Rumuruti now. I see another question from Donyo saying, do you have land around Kiambu? Thank you for your question, Donyo. We do not yet have land in Kiambu. Kiambu is rather expensive for those of us who like to buy in bulk. So we tend to look for areas a bit further removed from Nairobi. Places like Nanyuki, Naivasha, Emali, and the likes. Okay, no more questions yet. Come on, guys, you're quite shy today. Ama, you guys have learned everything you need to know about land. Maybe you should teach us something then, if there's no questions. Send in your questions, comments. Maybe you saw something in the news that's interesting relating to land ownership in Kenya. feel free to share that. Happy to bounce around our opinions about current affairs. I see a question there from Just Ray. What happens if you buy land and you're not provided with RIMs? Awesome question. First of all, RIMs is the acronym, or RIM is the acronym for Registry Index Maps. Okay, those are now the final mapping authority for property in Kenya, especially those that you will find on RIMs. There's different sorts of cadastral maps, is a general term. RIMs are one of the cadastral maps issued by government authorities. Very important document, in my opinion, a lot more important than your title deed, okay, after the green card. Green card is always number one. So if you buy land and you haven't been given an RIM, you need to ask for one. Okay, it's very simple. They should have one, and it must be updated to indicate your specific parcel of land and its title number clearly stated on the RIM. Otherwise, you're looking at an outdated or unupdated RIM. An RIM that doesn't contain your property is useless to you. Okay, so make sure whoever sold you the land gets the RIM updated to reflect their subdivisions, and they should give you one as a matter of good behavior, as a responsible land seller. It's your responsibility, of course, as a buyer to ask for these things. Technically, you should always have them listed, if you can, in the sale agreement under the clauses that have to do with completion documents. Completion documents are the set of documents that are necessary to effect the legal transfer of property from one party to another. I always include the updated copy of the registry index map in that list so that the seller is obligated to provide you one before you finish paying for the land. Okay? So if they haven't provided you one, please ask them for one. If they can't get one, get your surveyor to get you one. If it's been, if it's not yet updated, I should say, make sure if the seller cooperates with you to get it updated. It can take a bit of time, some doing. It's not complex, it's not rocket science. Licensed, registered surveyors can help you with this fairly easily. So get it done right and get it done quick. Don't wait until later, because things change all the time in the legal landscape. As it is today, if you're going to get your new generation title deed under what the Ministry of Lands is calling title conversion process, you must have an updated copy of the registry index map along with your current copy of the title for them to issue you your new generation title. So you don't want to get caught up in that mess later. Get it done now, have it in place, and you'll be able to rest easy. Okay, I see a question from Kanyo. Is Imbuko still available? No, Imbuko 6 sold out. We are working on a new Imbuko. We're always working on new stuff in Imbuko. So once it's ready, please stay tuned. We're going to make a bunch of noise about it. If you'd like to be included in the early birds list, which is the list of people that we notify before we ever go public, send us a DM with your details, your names and email address, and we'll make sure that you're here as soon as the next Imbuko opportunity comes up. Thank you for asking. I see a question on Instagram from Prue is golden. Prue is golden is asking, are Fahari and Acorn REITs a good investment in Kenya? Prue is golden. That's a great question. I don't have the answer to that. I myself am wondering. Personally, I think I need more education on that particular issue. REITs are relatively new to Kenya. They were introduced a few years ago, and Acorn and the other entity that you mentioned, is it Fahari? I think Stanley were the first ones to launch real estate investment trust. That's what a REIT is, or REIT. REIT, acronym for Real Estate Investment Trusts, which are an amazing uh, way for opening property ownership and incomes from properties to the larger market, so that you do not necessarily need to have 25 million shillings to buy a unit to benefit from it. You can invest at whatever minimum units have been provided for by the REITs, so that you will have multiple owners of the same property or properties sharing revenue income. Uh, Great way to capitalize the real estate market. I don't know if it has worked here yet. I know the first one had some challenges. There's still relative ignorance in the market about REITs. So until people understand the product well, uh, I would reserve my comments on that. But thank you for asking. Okay, Al Capone on TikTok says, what's available in Nanyuki? 1 acre-ish. Al Capone, thank you for your question. We don't have anything 1 acre-ish in Nanyuki available at the moment. All we have a half-acre residential master plan development by the number one architectural practice in Africa, Bukhatman and Partners. About 20-minute drive outside of Nanyuki town. We call it the Acacia Cove. We are mostly sold out. Each parcel is currently going for 5.49 million shillings only. That's a half acre with residential zoning and permits from the county. It's not freehold agricultural land. It's residential, and it'll come with all the amenities and utilities: water, power, roads, waste treatment plant. The boundary walls or fence has already been done. For those of you who are watching on the platforms, that can see the ad that's playing on your screen right now. That's our Acacia Cove property in Nanyuki, half acres. So currently, no 1 acre is available. But if I were you, if you really need an acre, you should grab two of Acacia Cove plots right next to each other, and voila, you have an acre of some of the most prime property in Nanyuki, right next to a public dam, Karyonga Dam. So we do have some water features, water frontage, beautiful acacia outcropping around the dam, lots of bird life. It's a sight to see. So give us a call in case you're interested before they are sold out. Okay, Lee underscore Michael on Instagram says, what would happen if water level rises around the lake where you are selling land? Well, water levels have already risen and nothing has happened. As we've stated before, when we scout for properties and buy land and risk our capital, we do insane due diligence. I happen to be the first or the founding chairman of the Elementator Resident Owners Association. So we were very keen to make sure that the ecology is protected. Those are controlled by WARMA, Water Resource Management Authority or agency. They're the ones who are in charge of prescribing riparian zones to account for high water marks when water levels rise. This was very well done for Elementaita, and our property is nowhere within the riparian zone. So even after the last heavy rains, when the water levels rose, didn't touch our property. So there's your answer, Lee Michael. Thank you for asking. And there's tons of videos, by the way, on our archives. Just go to YouTube, search for Goshen Acquisitions, or Instagram. We actually did some videos during the flooding that just happened, the heavy rain season. Our team was out there and they showcased our property with a very high water mark on the lake. So you can see for yourself. Okay, Joe's Nas. Joe's Nas on TikTok says, I don't own land yet, but what I have learned from your channel has been amazing experience. Thanks. Thank you for that compliment, Jose Nas. Jose Nas. Is that Jose? I hope that's not Jose. uh, Thank you for that kind compliment, Jose. We appreciate that. You are the reason we do what we're doing. Just Ray on TikTok says about the new title deeds. You mentioned about it. Can you explain further? Just Ray, is there anything specific about the new title deeds that you want me to explain further? Because that's a very wide-ranging topic. I could spend 3 hours talking about that. So please help me out. Zero in on what specifically you'd like me to talk about or explain. ASAP underscore BMG is watching us on Instagram or joining us on Instagram. And he or she says, if I wanted a large parcel of about 20 acres, would it be possible for you to source? No, because unlike agents and or brokers, we only sell what we own. It would take too much of our resources to go scouting for land for a specific individual. Um, Not very commercially viable for us to do. Again, because we're not agents and we're not brokers, we are land developers ourselves. So we spend a lot of time scouting land for ourselves to offer to the market. So, short answer is no, ASAP. I'm sorry. Um, but we wish you all success finding your 20-acre parcel. Hopefully, we have land in a place that you like and you can buy 20 of those acres. Until then, all success to you and thank you for your question. Kipso one on TikTok says, I want to buy from you guys, but it's very expensive to a common Kenyan. Thank you for your comment, Kipso. What can I say? We look forward to when you are not a common Kenyan. And hopefully over time we can also have the opportunity to offer lower priced property. I always hesitate to agree when people classify our properties as expensive because that's relative to something, right? So what do you mean by expensive? What does expensive mean? I think people need to be clear about value as opposed to price. And value has to do with everything you're getting for the payment that you're making. Okay, so while I do appreciate your comment, Kipso, I understand what you're saying. Our properties are not expensive at all. In fact, if you look at the places where we're selling the so-called expensive properties, we are the cheapest of that kind of property in that market. Yeah, so all the best to you, Kipso. May your storehouses increase in size so that number one, you are no longer a common Kenyan, and number two, that our property is not too expensive or very expensive for you. Ahadi Group on Instagram says, is the Land Registration Act on your website current? Uh, Great question, Ahadi Group. My team can hear me asking that question. So I'm sure they're going to make sure it's current. If it's not, it should be. It should be. we're usually very keen on making sure the informations or resources that we put on our websites are current. But if in doubt, you can also Google. You'll be able to find the current Land Registration Act if it's different from the one that we posted in the resources section of our website. And also, your licensed advocate can advise you on that. Hadi Group on Instagram says, also, are there any updates on the Gazette notices for conversions? I tried accessing the website for the GOK but could not, so I rely on your website for information. All right, well, I personally I haven't seen any recent gazettes or gazette notices for conversions. I'm not sure why. Um, and in any case, currently they are focused on Nairobi zones. They do them by zones. So there haven't been any conversions happening outside of Nairobi, to the best of our knowledge. It's going to take time to roll this thing out nationwide. But to answer your question, I haven't seen any gazette notices either myself, so I'm not sure if there's any update to make. We'll check the websites and make sure our resource section is up to date for you. Lee underscore Michael 01 on Instagram says, are you open to taking a risk to have a designer do an off-plan scheme on a parcel of land your company owns for faster sales? Well, as land developers, we are inherently risk tolerant, and we do have a battery of designers who do precisely what you're proposing, Lee underscore Michael. And if I'm candid with you, we haven't seen that make sales go faster. It's a great value add for our customers, and we're always happy to do that. Anything we can do to beef up the value that our customer is getting for their purchase, Grand Acres doesn't hesitate. But we have not seen any quickening of sales because of that. But I appreciate the pitch, Lee. Thank you for asking, and all success to you. Uh, okay, let me see Kipso's comment here on TikTok before I go to Just Ray. I will be able to afford when you guys get something in coast. I love you guys in Naivasha, Nakuru. Thank you, Kipso. We're actively looking at the coast. In fact, I might be there this coming week to scout a couple things. So stay tuned. We'll keep you posted. Just Ray is asking a follow-up question from YouTube. And she says, TikTok, showing me the YouTube icon.
Because you have to copy or stream it.
Got you. Sorry, Just Ray, you're on TikTok. And Just Ray says, I just want to know if it's possible to change my current title deeds to the digital title deeds. You mentioned about it. Yes, it's possible, but you have to wait for the government to gazette your zone. They will actually list your title number so that you know it's time for you to hand over your current title for the title conversion. So stay tuned, keep your ears open, check Arvisasa website as often as you can. And of course, the dailies, because by law they have to gazette those in the national dailies. I believe they typically do that on Thursdays, typically, but nothing's to say they can't do it any other day. So just keep an eye open, and you'll know when it's time for your specific title and its zone to get converted. Charlie Zoa 6 on TikTok says, Do you have a minimum size requirement for the deals you go after? Um, yes and no, Charlie. I mean, it depends on many different things. Specific location, is it next to a waterfront? So if we're buying something on the waterfront, we'll typically be more or less uncomfortable about buying small pieces. First of all, those are rare to get in big chunks, and then they're very pricey. So pricing is also a factor. What's the quantum of the purchase? So a bit of both, yes and no would be my answer. But to be candid, not really. Minimum size requirement depends on the location and amenities around the location. Even on TikTok says my problem might be off topic, but finding a real estate agent is difficult. How to find a trustworthy agent in Kenya? We feel you, Even. Come talk to us. See if you like what we have. Uh, we're not an agent or a broker, and we're definitely trustworthy. Uh, we try to be. So, I mean, best bet for me in terms of identifying a good agent is word of mouth referrals, because no one's going to refer to you someone who gave them a horrible experience, right? Uh, if they tell you about the horrible experience, it's not to recommend the person; it's to warn you to stay away from them, avoid problems. So ask around, ask your friends, ask people who you know are in that space. Very often they'll recommend some fairly decent contacts, and then you can take it from there. Munu on Instagram says, what would be your advice for someone building a real estate company to sell land? What would be my advice for someone building a real estate company to sell land? Well, first of all, is uh, make sure you have enough capital. It's a very cash hungry business. If you don't have that sorted out, you'll find yourself in problems very quickly. So sort out your capital as early as you can. Ask me how I know. Yeah. Uh, so make sure you're properly capitalized. The other thing um, is if you're going to be doing it as an owner or as an agent, are you, when you say real estate company, is that an agency or an investing company? So Grand Acres, Goshen Acquisitions, we only sell what we own. We never act as a middleman or agency or broker. Those are two very different businesses and business models with very different requirements and such. So when you say you want to build a real estate company, what does that mean? Are you prepared for that? And in case it's a real estate agency, make sure you get registered with the Ministry of Lands. It's now law. You have to be registered with the Ministry of Lands if you're acting as an agent in real estate. You have to be registered with them. If you don't, you get yourself in trouble with the law and pay a heavy fine. Also, you might appear dodgy to your customers. So just get it done right. All success to you, Emuniu. 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 I guess that's Emuniu. Thank you for your question. Davy Mabea. Hey, I know that name. What's up, Davis? Joining us on Instagram. Uh, what's your question, Davis? Oh, it's just say, thank you, Davis. Appreciate you, man. Davis is one of our new community members on one of our special properties. Uh, I won't say which one in case Davis has jealous family members who might give him the evil eye for being so organized. But thank you for your comment and greeting, Dave. It's good to see you. A Hadi group on Instagram says, let's take a scenario where I bought land from you, then find out that there is gold underneath. What? Can I buy it back? Who owns the rights to the gold, me or the government? Also, can the government take away your land in such a scenario? Okay, so if we sold the land to you, obviously we have no claims or rights to the land. So any gold that you're able to exploit on that land should be for your benefit. However, the government of Kenya is an automatic beneficially interested party on all things to do with minerals. So you will have to share the take with the government. Ideally, you get properly licensed to uh, mine the gold, right? And would the government take the land away from you? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. Um, Not sure about that one. I don't think they can take the land, at least not without compensation. Okay, so the government can take land by force. There's a procedure. The government does have a right to do that on condition that they compensate you adequately at market rates. So if you have a bona fide gold mine underneath your land that's properly licensed and all that, clearly the government would have to sort you out sufficiently to take the land from you. But interesting question, and thanks for asking. Okay, another question from Ahadi Group says, also, I would like to learn more about encumbrances. Encumbrances, I'm not sure, is there something specific, Ahadi Group, about encumbrances? Because that's a term that is generally used to envelope things that tie down a title deed or prevent the transfer of a title deed uh, before they are removed. Okay, so an example of an encumbrance is a bank charge for a loan that you've taken using the title deed or the property as security. When you do that, the bank will register a, they call it a charge. In the Western world, they're called liens, okay? LIEN, lien, charge. In South Africa, we learned recently they call them bonds. Okay, so a bond, a lien, a charge against a title deed is an encumbrance. Another form of encumbrance is a caution. A caution can be registered by an interested party to the property, say children of the person whose name is on the title deed by themselves. You know, cautions can be registered. Uh, any other interested party who can demonstrate with documentation to the land registrar that they do have a beneficial interest in this property, even though they don't control it, can register a caution. A caution is a type of an encumbrance. Okay, and the list can go on and on. Uh, Another form of encumbrance not talked about much is one that is usually put there by the national intelligence community or Directorate of Criminal Investigation. It's this year is investigation, right? Directorate of Criminal Investigation. They can register encumbrances on a title if fraud is involved and it's reported and they feel there's sufficient evidence to support that. They can lock down a title deed at the green card level so that nothing, no transfer of property can happen, possibly would even block you from borrowing against a property, uh, is a type of encumbrance. So encumbrances are the general term for all these sorts of things. I hope that helps, Ahadi Group. If not, let me know. I can try and clarify further. Just Ray on TikTok says, thank you so much. Looking forward to visiting you guys in the near future. Karibu sana, Just Ray. You're most welcome. Anytime. Charlie Zoa says, is land in Lake Naivasha worth investing in over 2.5 acres? Yes, I think so. Depends on where, though. Um, which side of Naivasha? Is it lakefront? Is it not? Is it on an elevation? I mean, whether or not it's worth investing in is honestly speaking completely up to you, Charlie, because you're the one who knows what your goals are. You know what's going to work for you and what's not. Step number one in our guideline to safe investment, land investment in Kenya. If you don't have it, go to our website, the checklist. 9 steps to safe land buying in Kenya. Step number one is define your investment goal. If you define your investment goal, it'll be pretty quick and obvious what's worth investing in or not, just based off of that. So Naivasha as an area, location, investment location in general, yes. But make sure it works for your specific needs. Charlie, thank you for asking. Mnu on Instagram says, how has your marketing played a role in getting clients? And how do you build trust at the first contact level? Our marketing has played a huge role in getting clients. I mean, what we're doing now is a form of marketing. This Q&A session. Most people don't think about it that way, but it's an opportunity for us to give value to the marketplace, even if it's for free. We're giving value. It's our time, our knowledge. We're sharing, having conversations, and facilitating this. We've interacted with many people on this platform during the Q&A who ended up being customers. Same with our social media, content creation, anything we do plays a huge role in getting clients, as is true for most businesses. Nothing special about that. So how do we build trust at the first contact level? I think the first way to build trust is to be quick to respond, to be honest, okay, and to be polite. Good manners are so underrated today, and yet they make a world of a difference. Being polite is very important. Being knowledgeable about what you're selling is important, but being knowledgeable while being rude doesn't get you the sale. Um, at the end of the day, I tell this to our staff all the time, the team that I work with. At the end of the day, we are the product, not the land. As much as someone might like our Lake Elementaita property because of its uh, insane beauty, if we're rude and we don't return calls on time and we don't know what we're talking about, if we're abrasive, we're not gonna have that customer for too long. So these are some of the ways you build trust. Uh, is there experience of you as you advertised? That's the first thing. Great ad on TV, social media, or wherever else, but then when we call, the vibe is different, the tone is different, doesn't do much for building trust. So you have to be consistent across all your platforms where you're launching your voice to the market and the customer base, and that's how you build trust. Thank you for asking. Bogwa J on TikTok says, do you have any land on sale in Kikuyu? Currently not, but stay tuned. Should we ever find something workable in Kikuyu, we'll let you know. Oh, is that the last question? It's now 45 minutes past 8, so we got 15 minutes to go. If you have any questions, please send them through. Someone's asking, Joy Esquire, do you need extra land lawyers? We're actually looking to hire one in-house, Joy. So if you're interested, send us your resume. Or if you know good candidates, send them over to our website. let them get in touch with us. We're looking to hire an in-house counsel. We have plenty of lawyers to work with. I think it's Caroline Motoko who said she has a battery of lawyers. She has lawyers for her lawyers for her lawyers. Same for us. So we don't necessarily need extra land lawyers, but we are looking for one in-house. The Olive Touch Properties on Instagram says, "Good evening, Solomon. Always great to engage and learn from your live sessions." Thank you, Olive Touch Properties. That's a kind thing to say. Hadi Group says, "One more thing. As self-proclaimed ambassador of Grand Acres, when will I get my mug?" You're talking about this mug? I own land in Kenya. Uh, the feed is freezing, huh? It keeps freezing. It's fine. Okay. So yeah, incidentally, your mugs actually got shipped out this last week. They should get to you next week. Um, I promise you that was done. So look out for your mail. Your mug is on the way. And thank you for being our ambassador. We love you guys. Uh, you're awesome customers, and we are privileged and grateful to count you amongst the community of people who've allowed us to serve their investment needs. So the mug is well deserved. Although I should tell you, you're the only customers who've been given mugs. And we're out of mugs, so no one else is allowed to ask for mugs. Okay. ASAP_BMG on Instagram says, "If I had a parcel I want to buy, could I hire a person from Grand Acres to do the due diligence?" Thank you, ASAP. No, is the short answer to your question. Again, that's not a resource we can afford to deploy in that way. But strictly speaking, what you need is an advocate, a licensed advocate who specializes in conveyancing law and commercial transactions. They'll be able to help you do your due diligence properly. Of course, they go along with surveyors and that sort of thing to establish the ground situation. Once you are sure that you want to buy a specific property, but um, licensed advocate will help you a ton. You don't need us. We would love uh, to charge for such a service, but how do we charge for that? Because we're not lawyers, we're not surveyors, we're just land developers. We're just happy land developers who love to share our experiences with others, in the hope that you will learn something that strengthens your own investment journey or saves you a world of pain by making a wrong move along the way. So get yourself a licensed advocate, ASAP_BMG, and you'll be fine. No more questions. We have 11 minutes remaining.
You can clarify for Hadi Group.
Uh-huh.
Then give Onesimus marks.
Okay. Hadi Group, if you can hear that, Gladys behind the cameras here is telling me that your mugs were sent to Onesimus. So if he tells you otherwise, just know that he flogged those things or he's hoarding them for himself. So yeah, Onesimus should have them soon. Karibu ASAP_BMG. You're welcome. Thank you for participating today. Lots of great questions, I have to say, today. No more questions, comments? Welcome, Mahadi Group. Oh, I see one from the Olive Touch Properties. Okay, so the question is, what would your advice be for a client seeking your advice regarding property succession? The appointed administrator has gone against the family's agreement to equal property distribution. Wow. For a client seeking advice regarding property succession. Well, um, if the appointed administrator is going against the family's agreements, first of all, that's horrible. Secondly, I hope you have a licensed advocate you can call on to advise you on how to hold the administrator accountable. I mean, this you need a proper medical examination type of disclosures with your advocate about the administrator, what was agreed, what was not agreed, who the bona fide heirs and successors are, and that sort of thing. So find yourself a good advocate who can assist you navigate that. That's the best advice I can give you for the time being. Okay, we have 8 minutes to go. Wamuru Mugo says, what's your opinion about RESA, Real Estate Association? Are you a member? No, we are not a member of RESA, a Real Estate Association. Uh, I have no opinion on them, really. Nothing I can say at the moment. I would have to dig deeper. I'm a member of a couple of other associations, and there's so many now coming up. Uh, Difficult to track which one is which. But no, we are not members. I think real estate associations are a good concept as long as they are structured right and the agenda is sincere and coming from the right place. There's many associations out there that exist simply to protect their entrenched interests as opposed to uh, serving humanity. Uh, as for RESA, I don't know much about them, so I have no opinion to share. And we are not a member of RESA. Thank you for asking. Okay, 6 minutes to go. Guys, I'm just gonna sip my coffee until 9 if you don't have any more questions. Okay, one more. Okay, the underscore misunderstood on Instagram says, what's your opinion on real estate investment trusts? Is it a good investment as opposed to building houses for rental income? I think real estate investment trusts are good in general. They're a noble vehicle. Like I explained before, democratizing on Instagram says, what's your opinion on real estate investment trust? Excuse me, it's Instagram. My Instagram is taking on a life of its own. I think real estate investment. I do sound good if I say so myself. Okay, so yes, real estate investment trusts are great vehicles for the marketplace because they democratize asset ownership, especially for income generating purposes, income generating sort of asset ownership. That's the whole point for REITs. So, yes, I think they're a good idea. Is it better than building houses for rental income? I think the answer would be it depends. You need to compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. They have different risk profiles. One requires way more capital upfront than the other. Obviously, if you're going to be building houses for rental income, that's very cash intensive. Do you have the capital now, or will you have it later? These are some of the questions one has to answer for themselves. It's a very subjective decision, but in general, I think it's safe to say whether it's better than building for yourself or rent. The question is, what are you building? What sort of rents or yields will you be collecting relative to those being offered by the real estate investment trusts? Yeah, thank you for that question. Well, Moru Mugo on Instagram says, can a foreigner own a leasehold land with a tenure of 999 years? The answer is no, because since 2010, those tenures have been shrunk down to 99 years max. So they can own leasehold any day, all day. But the tenure, legally speaking, today is limited or capped at 99 years, no longer 999 like it used to be. And I think that's a good thing in general for this country. Um, Someone once said, easy for us to say, unless you're the one sitting on like 20,000 acres for 999 years. Sure, 99 years sounds unfairly short compared to 999, but how many human beings live that long, first of all? Number two, the leases are renewable. So at the end of the 99 years, you can simply renew the lease for another 99 years, or your descendants, whoever is alive after that length of time. Um, but yeah, I hope I've answered your question, Wamuru. 99 years is the cap legally after the 2010 Constitution got promulgated. Awesome. Well, it is now how many minutes? 1 minute to 9. I want to thank each and every one of you for making time to join us today. Great questions, awesome questions. We are so grateful that you make time to do that on this Thursday, the first Thursday uh, of the new month after you got paid, which means you could be out somewhere having a blast. Thank you for making time. We don't take it for granted. We look forward to these every other week. And so until the next one, I wish you all happy investing. Share this link with someone you like, love, and respect. If you haven't liked our channels yet, please click on that thumbs up as many times as you can. Subscribe so you don't miss out on anything that we're going to be announcing in advance. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.